How far are you willing to go? The drive, the sweat, the blood, the tears, your determination through the pain and all the suffering, people overlooking you, telling you that you're not good enough. You have to believe that you're great. And with you believing that you're great, anything you want to do, you can achieve. No one can stop you. Only you can stop yourself. Keep driving. Keep uplifting yourself. Keep going. Keep going. Nothing, and no one can stop you. That goal you want, you can achieve it. How you inspire people is going to be up to you. Keep going. Never give up. Never give up. Keep going. Never.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon EEE. And once again, we're here on 910 Sports TV. And first and foremost, I got to thank God for this opportunity, because without him, it would be no us to have these great platforms, to have these great discussions. So tonight, one of my other partners, Jacob the Great, he should be on here in a couple of minutes. Our other partner, Lamont T. Goins, Coach Goins, he actually at a Maryland and Virginia game right now. So he's out there enjoying the festivities out there. So for right now, I'm going to do this thing solo dolo until, you know what I'm saying, my partner in crime gets on here. So today we have another great coach, and we're doing something different we're doing today. I think, and you know what's kind of crazy, Coach? Me and Jacob been doing this show for 6 years now. And I think this is actually, we making history tonight.
Oh, wow.
This will be our first father and daughter interview.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So we've never done that before. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got from being, I'm pretty sure your career probably started as a kid, and then where you're at now. And then I'll let your daughter introduce herself and we go from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Keith Parks. I'm the current athletic director and head boys varsity basketball coach at North High School in Orangeburg County in North South Carolina. Born and raised Chicago, Illinois. I started playing basketball in 3rd grade. I went to Chicago, carved a historic program, the Tim Hardaways, Nick Irvin, Cassie Russells, just so much history that came through our high school in Chicago. After that, I went out to Parkland College in Champaign, where I played basketball there, completed my associate's degree in criminal justice. I was blessed with the opportunity to head to the Division I level, played at the University of North Dakota, finished with my bachelor's degree there, and moved to South Carolina, where I got into law enforcement. I was in law enforcement for 17 years, and at that time, that's kind of where my coaching career started, going into a high school setting. And being a law enforcement officer and having a background in basketball, I was afforded the opportunity to coach and just kind of build bridges with our youth and our mentors. And as of this season that just started, it's been 15 years for me on the sideline. So that's just a generic overview of myself. Okay.
Okay. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My name is Kailen Parks. I'm a senior. I also attend North Middle High School. I'll be with my dad most of the time. But I'm a combo guard. I, of course, played for our varsity girls team. I was born and raised in Lakes, South Carolina, so I've been here my whole life. And I actually attended Lakes High School up until my sophomore year, and then I transferred over to North. So I can, continue my academics and my basketball career. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. So we're gonna get into a little bit. I'm gonna go back to your dad for a second. We're gonna come back to you. So you said something, because I was listening when you say, okay, you grew up in, you said Chicago area?
Yes, sir. Southside Chicago.
So you grew up in Southside Chicago. How in the world did your black self end up in North Dakota? How did you get recruited to be in North Dakota of all places? Because I've been in North Dakota, and black folks don't belong in North Dakota.
So one of the historic coaches, Scott Riley, He's from Chicago, played at Chicago, one of the schools in Chicago, actually played his college ball at Lewis University. He understood the dynamics of recruiting a kid out of the public league in Chicago. Because if you played in the public league in Chicago, you just tough, because it's a battle every night. So Coach Rowley, I came up on his radar, and he began to recruit me hard at the University of North Dakota. And just going back to him being from Chicago, he knew the foundation, he knew the layout. So they came on really strong in the recruiting process. And a lot of people don't realize it, but North Dakota's a nice place. Yeah, it's super cold, but you take a kid from the south side of Chicago, you take him out to North Dakota, you see the facilities, you see the people, you see how they pour into their student athletes. It really intrigued me, and I made that home.
Okay, so I'm gonna bounce back and forth. So, how you pronounce it? Kailen? That's how you pronounce it?
Yes, sir.
So, Kailen, I seen your numbers now. You sound you sound humble, but I seen your numbers, Kailen. You got some awesome numbers. So, just tell us what age was it when you started playing basketball?
I also started playing basketball in the 3rd grade, so around that age. I started with rec league, but as my dad would say, I was trash. But of course, when you first started, I was in gymnastics, but I was taller than everybody. So my mom was like, "Okay, we try basketball," and I was like, "I'll try it." And then my dad was like, "If you try it, you gotta finish out the season, no matter how bad you were." So that's where my basketball career started. So I just started. He started training me. Of course, I have my own coach, but my dad started training me from the 3rd grade, and he's been training me ever since. So he's one of the main reasons why I am where I am today.
Okay, so I'm gonna educate people on something that's very impressive about your numbers. Not the scoring, not the assists. I looked at that last number, and it said 6 steals a game. I said, huh? So first of all, that means for you to get 6 steals a game, meaning one thing. I know your dad was teaching you and grooming you for basketball because getting 6 steals a game comes from two things. One is effort, and two, knowing how to play angles on the court. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of steals is not on ball defense. Most steals come from off ball defense. So just kind of talk a little bit how the fundamentals of what both of y'all kind of speak on what you talk. What first, Dad, tell us how you kind of taught her and how to play on the defense of being able to understand how to play defense that get steals, and then Caitlin just kind of understand what you see on the court when you going after these steals.
Well, I teach her and I train her to play the game 3 seconds ahead. When you're able to play the game 3 seconds ahead and read your defender, you'll pick up your defender full court, get their patterns down. If you know this girl likes to go 2 dribbles and automatically come back to the left on the second dribble, you already sent to the left. It's there. So I just teach her instincts, teach her to not gamble. I have this saying, the same thing I use for my boys: stay out of Vegas. I don't like gambling on defense, because if you can get a good 10-second count, if you can get a good 5-second on ball pressure count, that's just as good as the turnover sometimes. So I just teach her playing the game 3 seconds ahead. And once she realized playing the game 3 seconds ahead and reading that offensive player and picking up their patterns, that'll give her the edge every time.
Okay, so Kayla, just kind of speak on it from your end. A lot of stuff that, other than what what your dad said, what are you looking on the court to be able to anticipate to be able to make those steals?
When I'm in, let's just say, I'm in help side, I really look at whoever has the ball, I look at their eyes. 'Cause, a lot of girls, they tell where they're passionate with their eyes. So usually I'm pretty quick, so I can always tell like where she's going to throw the ball and when she's going to throw it. So I'm usually always there when she does throw it. But if I'm on ball, a lot of what he taught me, I'm usually guarding the best player. So I usually pick up on what they're doing, what's their strong side, what's the weak side. If they dribble, pick it up. Take 2 dribbles, pick it up, I'm right there. So usually a lot of people get scared because, usually they're used to people backing up off of them. But I learned, like, the more I stay up on them, you're going to get scared. And my pressure, they're just going to turn over the ball. And that's another one of my steals. So a lot of stuff has helped me with that. Of course, with him saying me playing 3 seconds ahead, I've learned that. It took a lot of learning, but I think I finally got it down packed. So I think that's where a lot of my steals come from. And a lot of times you can really just tell where someone's going to throw the ball. If they pick it up or they're scared, you're right there. So that's another steal for you.
Okay, go ahead. What's up, Jacob? You gotta turn your volume up.
What's happening? How y'all doing?
Hey, how are you,
Hey.
sir?
Doing good, doing good, doing good. So man, when I got the call about having you on the show, and he said Keith Park, I said, "What you talking about from from Cardinal High School in Chi-Town?" He was like, "Yeah, the same one." So man, being that you're a Chi-Town legend, man, and now your daughter's following in your footsteps, man. What is that like for you?
Man, it has been really, Jay, a breath of fresh air because not only does it just does my heart well to see her choosing the game and playing it at a high level, but it's actually what made our bond strong. Like we communicate so much, like on the court. Like she played for two different AAU teams, Asia Wilson Elite and FBC. I coach on both of those teams, so I'm her skill developer. I'm her dad, so me and this little girl, we grown up together. You know, she has a full-time mom. Her mom is very active. Mom teaches her the way of life and everything. But this has been my grow-up partner. Like we've been rocking since she came out, you know, and she chose the game in third grade. So like this has just been a great foundation for building a father-daughter relationship on and off the court. So I'm just proud of her. The things she's been through with tearing her ACL her eighth grade year, and then not really sure how she was going to come back to see her go through rehab for a year, 3, 4, 5 times a day, rehabbing and saying, Dad, I'm going to get back to that prominent player that I was. She was like, just watch. So she knows adversity. She's faced adversity, and I'm just proud of her, man. She's reaping the hard work and the benefits of just everything that she's put into the game. She's reaping it right now.
Good, great, great. So for you, from the from the black top in Chi-Town to high school to collegiate and to you being a coach as well, athletic director, man, how have you seen the game of basketball transition, and what is the highs and the lows for you?
The game has changed drastically, you know, in our day of growing up, and I use these terms now, and I use them loosely. In our day when we played, we were basketball players. Today, you have a lot of kids that just play basketball. So the difference in that, you know, my mom knew where to find me. Like homework was done. I'm at the blacktop. Like you ain't gotta look no further. Like we got the best guys in the city and we're running, we're playing that pickup ball. You know, we're going to other neighborhoods. We're taking our best five and we're going all across the city, you know, playing their best fives in their communities and their neighborhoods. So today, the entitlement that's on the game, that's a low for me. I took over a program in North. Our first year, we were 3-10, and coming into that culture, it was a culture of, you know, expectations. You know, you had the pacified kids, you know, the kids that just thought that they can wake up and win, you know, not realizing that it started in the classroom, that winning is a culture. So after we became successful, you know, going to the Final Four in Florence, winning the region 2 straight years, you know, now I'm teaching kids how to win. You know, so now we went from not knowing what winning was, we got a taste of winning. So now when we got a taste of winning, we think we've made it. We think we're it. So now I'm dealing with teaching how to win and being humble in winning, because there was a time when no one knew who we were. So how dare we start winning and then we start to abuse the game. We start to pour less into the game. And I tell my guys all the time, you know, you can't cheat this game. She's going to give you what you put into it at some point in time.
Right. So teaching effective education of the game, man. How important has it been for you to explain film to your players?
Real important. That's key because, in the heat of the game, a lot of the players, oh, no, coach, I made that rotation. I was there, coach. What you talking about? I ain't do that. So men lie, women lie, film don't lie. So film helps us to take those areas that we need to work on, take those areas that we need to fine tune and, put it before us, because before we can move on and we understand being help side, or we understand making that second and third rotation, if we're not seeing it, because a lot of times in the game, in our mind, well, coach, I made that rotation, I was there. But then when you're able to show them, well, no, see, you thought about making a rotation, you wasn't all the way there, and that's how this guy slipped for a backdoor layup, and you was hugging your man on the opposite side. So film is highly important. It helps critique, it helps us learn, it builds us, and even film for coaches, for me, it's just not for the kids, it's for me. I can look at game scenarios and coach, you should have called a timeout right here, or coach, you should have realized they were tied. We should have came out of that 1-2-2 and maybe fell back to a half court man. So film is good for everybody. Film keeps everybody honest.
I dig it. So, Kailen, for you, so I read up on you and I was impressed. And I'll say that, when I read it said use a small forward and a guard, but I just call you the triple threat because you can play the point, you can play the shooting guard, and you can play small forward, and you got that hustle in you. So I watched some clips on you, and it seems like that if you got that get up and go in you, then your team reacts to what you're doing, and so that's leadership, and you're really you have that mentorship for you to mentor other players that's on your team, and you may not look at it like that, but that's what you're doing. So how is that aspect of leadership for you, with you being so young? How did you develop that leadership like you have?
I would say when me develop my leadership, sometimes I do notice, like when I go on a run, my teammates go on a run. We have a young team. I'd say the youngest I think we have is a sophomore. So sometimes they all look up to me. So I'm like, okay, I can't allow myself to get frustrated, because if I get frustrated, my whole team's frustrated. So a lot of times me and my coach, or me and my assistant coach, or sometimes me and my dad, they'll just have to tell me, you are sometimes the head of the snake, and you have to realize that. So you have to keep pushing and being you, because when you go on a 4 run by yourself, your team's like, oh, okay, so now we on a run, so I got to help her. I got to contribute. So that gets the whole team going. So I feel like when my whole team is going, I feel like we're unstoppable. A lot of times we could put teams away a lot faster. So I just feel like sometimes, even though my shots aren't falling, I still got to get everybody, into it. So sometimes one of my younger teammates will have a night, or I'll have a night, or sometimes all of us will have a night. So I feel like if I'm just going, if I just keep being me, I feel like my teammates will notice that and they'll pick up on it.
Okay. So what would you say is your biggest strength, and what is the weakness that you need to work on?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like my biggest weakness is not letting things that I can't control frustrate me. Sometimes I let the referees, or, sometimes referees don't want to call things for us. Sometimes they have sympathy for the other team. So I got to not let that get into my head. Or sometimes when I get tired, fatigue, it beats the mind a lot. So I say that's probably two of my biggest weaknesses. But I feel like my strengths is I can keep going. A lot of times other people get tired. I train a lot, so I'm not as tired as they are. So I feel like that gives me a lot of advantages on the court. And I feel like I have a good IQ, like of seeing the court and everything. So I feel like a lot of times my IQ is higher than the opposing teams. So I feel like sometimes what they're not seeing, I always see it. So I think that's what also allows me to get how my numbers are where I am today. So I feel like my IQ is my biggest strength that I have.
Okay. So mentally and emotionally, how do you absorb the game? And then after you absorb the game, after a game, what are those conversations like with your dad? Are they very intense? Or are they just open?
Um, I say mentally how I absorb the game. A lot of times we just talked about this. My dad tells me to play 3 seconds ahead. So in my head, I'm like, okay, the way she's guarding me, I already know what I'm going to do. I already know how I'm going to get by her. I already know if I'm going to pass the ball to my teammate if they're open or not. Or if I keep the ball, I already know how that is because I have that 3 seconds ahead mentality. And I feel like emotionally, I feel like when I get going, I just feel like I feel like there's nothing that can stop me. You know, I feel like there's nobody that can stop me. And I just feel like I got to keep going. I got to keep being me, and nothing can stay in front of me, or I'm going to get around her no matter. But after the games, my dad will tell you, he'll tell you he's my biggest supporter, but he's also my biggest critic. So he'll congratulate me, be like, "Oh, good job, you had 20, but you could have had 30. You missed layups and free throws." So that's why a lot of our conversations go. He's gonna congratulate me, but he's also gonna tell me stuff that I could do better or stuff that I need to pick up on sooner.
Okay, so you as a player, do you do you think the 3 point shot has kind of took over the minds of people, or do you think that people should understand that the 17 footer is just as effective as the 3 point shot?
I feel like just 17-footer is a lot. Is some people would say it's not, but I feel like it's even more effective because if you're just a 3-point shooter, people are gonna play you. They're gonna deny you in the corner because they know that's what you're gonna do. But if people don't know that you can get to 17-foot shooters or 15-foot shooters, you're a way more dangerous player than just playing on the outside perimeter. If you can get on the inside and start getting those, 10, 15, 17-foot shooters off, then it's gonna be way harder for someone. You're going to be way harder to guard somebody, and you're going to have so much more respect on a scouting report other than just being a content 3-point shooter.
Okay, cool. So, how do you prepare other players to get coached by your dad? Because players be like, well, that's your dad, and he gonna take it easy on you. So, how do you mentally prepare yourself? So, dads, no matter what type of whether they coach you or whether you work a job for them, they don't take it easy because they expect the highest standard of you. And so, with the other players, they be like, man, your dad tough, and when my pops used to coach us during the recreation, my friends used to ask me that, and I'd be like, man, you got to suck it up and go. You got to deal with it because it's not going to get no easier. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be harder. He's going to keep drilling and drilling and drilling, and he's going to ask you, do you want to quit? So that's the old school mentality. So what are some of the questions that your teammates ask you about your dad?
Um, a lot of my AU teammates, with my FPC team, we were all new. It was all new group of girls, and my dad came, and they was like, "Is he just this stuff? Is he just tough because he coaches boys?" I was like, "No, he's always been this tough with boys, girls. It really don't matter." And then at one time, I had a teammate. She asked me, she was like, "Did your dad ever sit you out?" I was like, "Yes, he sits me out. If he feels like, I'm not doing what I need to do on the court, he would tell my coach to pull me out and sit me on the bench. It don't matter if he's my dad or not. He's gonna pull me out. Sometimes during school, he'll tell my coach to get on me more. So I feel like with him being my coach, I wouldn't say warn people how he is, but I can just give him a heads up and be like, hey, he's going to be tough on you. He might make you want to go home. He might make you want to say something under your breath about him, but it's all out the good. He wants to see us do good. He wants to see us reach our full potential. And I sometimes tell people that's why he's really tough on a lot of the kids he coaches, because he sees the potential in you. So if he sees it, then he knows you got it, and then he's going to push you to your full potential so you can know that you got it, because that's the most important thing. If you don't think you got it, then there's no point in somebody else telling you that you got it. You got to know you have it in yourself.
Okay, cool. So, Coach, I'm gonna ask you the last question. I'm gonna give it back to my partner, Ikon. Now, Coach, I tell people basketball is education, basketball is commitment, and basketball is discipline. And so, how do you combine those three and really prepare these kids for the future for when they're going to the next level? To really play collegiate ball.
So I have something that I call the non-negotiables. The non-negotiables start with the classroom, it leads to your conduct, and then finally it ends on the court. Because I use an analogy. If you roll a basketball right now, eventually it is going to stop. Your education is what's going to carry you forever. So I'm doing you a disservice if you come in here with C's and D's. Yeah, you're eligible by high school league rules, but you're not eligible by Coach Park's rules, because one of the things that we do, we meet with our players before the season. I know if they were college or career ready. I know what they want to do. I know what schools they want to go to. And I'm realistic. I meet with those parents and I say, hey, he needs to have this 3.0 GPA if he's looking at this set of schools, or he needs to have this 2.5 GPA if he's looking at NCAA Division II schools. So I take a holistic, realistic approach to when I'm dealing with my student athletes. Being that I played NCAA basketball, I already know what it takes. I have that understanding. So I'm not going to accept the C's. You must have a 3.0 to play on my team. No, that's not the district rules. No, that's not the high school league rules, but those are my rules, because you must keep that 3.0s to keep a scholarship. So why am I letting you play with a 2.5 and you already told me you want to go to college? You got to keep that 3.0 or your scholarship goes bye-bye. So I just have realistic conversations with my young men. I don't sugarcoat things. They know I have that open door policy, and everything starts and ends with the classroom. And they know if you failing in the classroom, you don't definitely not coming to the court. If your conduct is not becoming of the rules and policies that I put in place as a representative of North Middle High School, a representative of themselves, a representative of their family, and then finally a representative of my team, then those are the non-negotiables. So they know we're not changing those. They're going to meet those standards. And then once they find that they're meeting those standards, I have guys now that come back. In my 5 years there, every senior that I've had has graduated and has went on to be college or career ready, either playing at the next level or going right into their career. And that's what it's about for us. I have 100% graduation rate in 5 years of being the head coach there and 4 years of being the athletic director. So just the non-negotiables. You can ask any of my team guys what the non-negotiables are, and they'll tell you those three things.
That's great. That's great. I come back to you, man.
Wow, because you know what, hey Jacob, and correct me if I'm wrong. I told him, I said we made history tonight because this is the first father and daughter combination we ever had on the show in 6 years. But also, he's the first coach to ever answer the question the way he did that way. Because I asked every court, we've asked almost every coach on here, do you have a certain standard like a Coach Carter? If you remember the movie Coach Carter, if
Yes,
you
sir.
have a Coach Carter type standard, and none of them ever said yes.
Yep.
You're the first one that had that kind of Coach Carter approach to say I individually go to each one of my players to find out what their goals are. And if you're trying to go to Carolina or Duke or Kentucky, you know you're going to have a certain GPA. You know
Yep.
what I mean, to go there, especially if you're going to be a student athlete.
Yep.
So you're the first coach that I ever remember on this show that ever said that. You know what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying? So I commend you for that, because I think that's what's missing in a lot of and overall with the youth today is that we don't set any kind of standards. We just
Yep.
say, oh, as long as you passing, you good. But then, like you say, once they get that ball stop rolling, then can your education carry you in life?
Yep.
And a lot of them can't be carried on in life because you know what I'm saying they were subpar or average in school, and we know about life. If you average at something and you don't have that work ethic, you can't teach work ethic. That ain't something you can teach.
Yep.
It's either in you or it ain't. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You can teach a person to go practice and do whatever, but even in practice, what's gonna happen? At some point, you're gonna get tired and you're gonna stop practicing. You're not
Yep.
gonna practice as hard as soon as you get fatigued. But if you have that work ethic and you push yourself through that time when those muscles is burning and you
Yes, sir.
cramping up, you're gonna push yourself through. So and that's how you get tested in life when life gets hard. But
Yes, sir.
I just want to commend you for that. So I want to go back to Caitlin for a minute. Caitlin, for a minute, when you talked about the ACL, at your age, that's rare to see a kid your age at probably 13, 14 years old with a torn ACL. So, what was the mental fortitude that it took to get through that? Because I know it had to be a gruesome, hard rehab. You know what I'm saying? So, first of all, how long did it take for you to rehab, and what was the mental capacity you had to have for
I rehabbed for a whole year. You know, usually for ACL, it's just 8 to 9 months. But me and my dad had a conversation, and then we decided to go out a full year so I can keep getting stronger, you know, mentally and physically. But with the mental, with me being so young, I feel like that was probably the hardest thing I had to get over. Usually, everyone knows the ACL recovery is really hard. Even on older than me now having ACL tears, like professional people, that's hard on them. But me being an 8th grader going to my freshman year, it took a lot of mental toll on me. So me and my dad just had a lot of conversations. He was like, "This is probably the hardest thing you're gonna have to deal with, and it's a hard overcome, especially with you being so young." But he was like, "You gotta keep pushing. You can't give up. If you want to get back to where you were and be even better, you got to keep going." He was like, "I went through the same thing, so I know." He told me like step by step of what it was gonna be, so that also helped me. But with me just being so young, it really did take a lot of mental, because I was like, sitting on the bench seeing your team play, you can't be there. That's like, dang, I wish I was out there, but I can't, because my ACL was torn. So at first, when I first found out, it just hit me. I was like, "Oh, I'm out. I'm hurt." I was just telling everybody, I tore my ACL. I didn't really know how bad it was of that injury. But when I actually did my research on it, and my dad actually, taught me about it, and I was going to doctor appointment, I realized, I was like, well, dang, sometimes this is a career-ending injuries for some people. And that's what I was looking at. I was like, maybe I don't want to play basketball no more after I got clear. Maybe this is just done for me. But me and my dad had a lot of conversations, a lot of tough sit-downs for my age that I had to have with him. We had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations about, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to be days where you feel like you can't, you want to give up, you're tired, but you got to keep pushing, because if you can get through this, you can get through anything. And that's what I really carried throughout my whole, basketball career, especially during rehab. Rehab was brutal. I mean, really brutal. Waking up 6 o'clock in the morning, got to go to Prisma, come home, got to do rehab, go to school, got to do rehab there, come back home, got to do rehab again. It was a lot on my body and on my mental. But I feel like with just having him by my side, he got me through a lot. He just being there telling me, you got this, next step, just keep pushing. So I was really appreciative for him being there for me. So that's just what got me through.
Okay, so I got one more question about that part of it.
Icon, before you say it, let me say this, Icon. Hold up, check me foul on the play. I'm gonna say this about Kailen, man. I don't know what type of preparation her dad gave her. We interview a lot of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I will say when it comes to media training, maybe the coach or the parents didn't prepare them, but you answer these questions, you just got through talking to some of the ESPN folks. Like, I'm like, hold up now. See how old? Did you notice that? Did you notice that?
Well, it's funny, Jacob. I was gonna speak on it at the end, so I was gonna give her dad his flowers at the end, because
Okay.
I'm listening. I'm listening to her talk, and I was impressed by that, because there's not no in
Man.
the on, and we know what I'm saying, and whatever. It's not all that. So I can hear that he trained her properly to be able to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she could do interviews every week or something, because
Yeah.
especially somebody her age. Most of the kids her age come on here, and shoot, some of the adults come on here and can't halfway talk. But
Yes, sir.
for that, but I want to go back to Kailen for a minute because we all try to play doctors at the house when we watching the game, whether it's football, basketball, whatever. And a player, because most of the time ACL a lot of times is a non-contact injury. So I wanted to ask her, when you tore your ACL, just explain to us what you felt. Was it a pop? Was it a pain that shot through your leg? What was it that you felt at that moment?
Let's see. Well, I want to say it was the first time we tearing it. But I was in Alabama, and I was
You
doing
tore it twice? You tore it twice? Twice?
well, I got hurt, and then I just got an X-ray, and they told me it was just my patella. So I sat out. I did my 2 months of rehab, something like a little bit like that, and then it was my first practice back from getting clear from rehab. And I remember this day. We have 5 minutes left, and we were scrimmaging, and I did a Euro step, and I just felt my knee. It just gave out, and I just fell. Like I felt the pop, and then I didn't feel it go back. So I was like, oh no. And I just fell. My knee just gave out. I couldn't walk on it. I couldn't do nothing. So I just started crying, because I was like, dang, I just got back, and now I'm probably out again. So when I felt it, it did feel like a pop, and I just felt myself go down. I couldn't stand on it. I couldn't put no weight on it. I had to get carried out to the car. And when I got home, my knee was like twice as big as my other one. So it was like, oh yeah, something's wrong. So we went to urgent care. They recommended me to go in the MRI. And I remember this day, I was about to go to lunch, and my mom texted my phone, and she was like, "Call me when you get to lunch." I was like, "Okay, maybe she just got to tell me something, maybe I got a package at the house or something. I don't know." So she called me, and she was like, "You tore your ACL and your MCL," and I was just like, "Oh." I didn't really know nothing about it until I got home. My dad told me what I actually did to myself, and I was like, "Oh, dang, that's serious." So when I realized what it made me think a little bit. I was like, dang, I really did that to myself. But I wasn't like mad at myself. I was kind of mad at like everybody else around me, because I was like, dang, then they thought I was joking when I failed. They thought I wasn't serious. So I was like, dang. But I mean,
Oh wow.
when it came down to it, I was like, I know what I got to do. I know what I got to do to get back. So it was a tough moment in my life being that young, of course, but it's got me to where I am now. So I'm kind of thankful that it happened, because I feel like if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be the same me as I am today. I wouldn't know how to face adversity as well as I do today. So I'm kind of always thankful that I did have to go through that at a young age, because it taught me a lot that I'll deal with, when I get older, when this basketball stuff ends, I'm still going to face adversity in my career or in life in general. So I'm always thankful that it happened.
Okay, I got one question. I'm gonna kick it back to Jacob. So, Coach, this is a very important question because we get a lot of athletes on here as far as they're superstar athletes, break all kind of records, whether it's running back, quarterback, you know what I mean, on the basketball court, leader and scorer. Your daughter got all these numbers. But then but the thing that don't add up to us is when they get recruited, they're getting recruited at these Division II schools. So for like I always tell people, we created this show for the underdog.
Yeah.
And I don't know if your daughter's an underdog when it comes to recruiting, but what's missing? What's falling through the cracks when you have these athletes that's having these phenomenal high school numbers, but then when the recruiting comes around, they're not getting recruited by the top dogs.
I just think it's the culture and the landscape, and it's called the transfer portal. So, what we have to remember, and this is the vivid picture that I paint for everybody, what we have to remember about the collegiate level, they're paid to win right now. So if I can go into the transfer portal and I can get a 22, 23-year-old who's already proven they can get up at 3 in the morning for weights, who's already proven they can go to class, who's already proven that, hey, I can play on this level, they don't have to groom them. Whereas you got a 17-year-old that's coming in that's not mature yet, you still got to figure out how you're going to involve them into your offense. So they don't have time really to recruit high schools. My daughter has 2 division. She has 15 offers, and out of the 15 offers, 2 of them are Division I offers. So many Division I coaches has reached out to us and said, if it was not for the transfer portal, your daughter would have a heck of a lot more offers. So I encourage all parents, all coaches, all athletic directors at this point in the game with the transfer portal, we have to be thankful and grateful for any offer, whether it's JUCO, NAIA, D1, D2, D3, because if you go to some of these JUCO games or these NAIA games, they got straight dogs on their roster that was overlooked because of the transfer portal. So the transfer portal is the instant fix. And, the transfer portal, I don't per se like it. I understand it from the business aspect, but the transfer portal for these coaches, this is how they save those $100,000 and $200,000 jobs. Like they got to go in there and get the win now. So I don't have so much time to focus on developing a high schooler. Like the 2 Division I offers that she's the only high schooler they're recruiting. And both coaches told me if we don't get her coach, that's fine because she's the only high school player we're recruiting. We're jumping in there getting these JUCO dogs. So we're jumping in there looking for someone who didn't fit at that Division I, but now they can come over here to us. So just the landscape and the geographical terrain of basketball itself with the transfer portal, the 5th-year COVID seniors, getting those additional years, those are years where those young ladies or young men, they're already stronger in the weight room. They don't have to wait on that body to develop because they've already been developed on that Division I or that junior college stage. So now it's plug and play. So that's the difference now. So I tell all kids, don't be discouraged by that. That doesn't mean that you're not a Division I talent. That just means that they're not recruiting high school players on that level anymore. If you're not that power 5 or that power 4 that's just going to come in and just change the scope and layout of their program, like they're getting them in the transfer portal. And that's what today's basketball society is about.
Okay, Jacob, you got any more?
Yeah, coach. So, coach, it's a two-part question. So, first one for you, coach. What would you tell a younger coach that's just coming out of college and getting a coaching job? What advice would you give the young coach?
Be patient with yourself. Don't base anything off wins and losses. Base everything off of how you pour into these kids as a person. I have this rule. I don't allow kids to play 4 years for me, and I don't help them to their next. So just make sure when you're coming in that your heart's in the right place. It's not every day. It's not going to be peaches and cream, but just make sure that you're pouring into these kids as if you would want someone to pour into your kids. And, you know, I lead by that with example. You know, I transfer my kid to the school where I work because I believe in it so much, you know. So that young coach that's coming in, man, just make sure every day you're working to make yourself better. You're working to make sure your kids are better, and just be a voice for your kids. You know, listen to these kids, show them, prove to them that it's more than just about basketball. And right now I have a team of 10 young men. If I come into practice tomorrow and I say, run through the brick wall, all 10 gonna run through the brick wall. Never mind that there's 2 doors that they can go. Coach said go through the brick wall. So fellas, let's go through the brick wall. But that was just built off the trust. That was just built off. I show them daily that it's bigger than basketball. I show them daily that they are loved. You know, I show them the blueprint. Too often we tell our kids you can be anything in the world, but we fail them as adults. Yes, they can be anything, but we fail them as adults because we don't give them the blueprint of how to be it. We don't tell them that this is going to come with disappointment. We don't tell them that people are going to let you down along the way. We don't tell them that, hey, because you already black and you male, you got 2 strikes. So those are the conversations that I have with my young men, and they know, like, I love them beyond the game. I love them outside the game. And, you know, I'm going to make sure they're successful, whatever they choose in senior year, whether it's military, whether it's work, whether it's going to school. Like, we're going to provide and we're going to pour into these kids. And that's truly how my success is taking off.
Oh, coach, I appreciate it. Now, hey, listen, you are a dynamic player on the court, but you're going to be leaving high school soon.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to prepare that next player that's going to take over and represent you? Because, you know, it's always that standout player and a person coming behind them and they be like, oh man, I can't drop the ball because she did so much, you know. So how would you prepare that person?
I'm already doing that. You know, I got a sophomore on my team. You know, she looks up to me a lot. She's gonna be one of the people that I really do miss when I leave. But when I tell her, don't let me see how I word this. Don't make your game around me. You know, don't try to be like, oh, I gotta go out and score 15 because Kailen went and scored 20, or I gotta have as many steals, or I gotta have as many threes, or I gotta get as many blocks. When I leave, you gonna make a whole new name for yourself. In 5-10 years, some people not even gonna remember you. They're gonna remember who you were and what kind of player you were, because when I leave, that's your time to step up. So I always tell her now is like, don't try to just, you know, sometimes she'll just try to get the ball to me. I was like, no, you keep it. You know, show them what you can do. Don't just have me be the main person who they want to guard. You be a threat of your own caliber. Because she's a great player. You know, sometimes young people, they're just not as confident. So she has me and she has, you know, our older teammates to give her that confidence that she needs. So when she does get the confidence, oh, she's unstoppable. You know, sometimes she'll go out, she'll have as much as me, or sometimes she'll have more than me. I was like, and I'll always congratulate her. You know, no matter if she turned the ball over, she missed a shot, I'll be like, hey, you got it, high five, next shot, you got it. Just keep being you. So a lot of times I always tell her, don't try to, you know, be me or be another me. Be yourself, because at the end of the day, that's who you got. You know, when I leave, all you got is yourself. when older people leave, all you got is yourself. And then when you become a senior, it's going to be a sophomore or a freshman or junior is going to look up to you and want to be you. So you gotta keep being you. Don't try to play around me or play around somebody else, because you got to make a name for yourself at the end of the day. So that's how I've been training myself. Getting her to where her full potential is, because sometimes she just needs that little push, and when she gets that push, she's unstoppable. Sometimes coaches don't know how to stop both of us, let alone just try to stop me. They got to stop her too. So it's like when both of us get going, sometimes my coach calls us the deadly duo when we get going. So she's just a little sister, that I never asked for, but I'm so glad that I got her. And we did start off rocky, but now that we see eye to eye, it's in game for us. So
Okay, so the reason
Okay.
why I asked you that is because spectatorship and a what we call a diehard fan base of the school that you go to, they are going to be judgmental when it comes to her because they gonna have their stats they gonna have your stats on the internet they can look at, and they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, okay, now she did this right here, so we gonna want to see the same thing, you know what I mean? Because you set that bar high, and so that's why I asked you what was you doing to kind of give her those leadership skills and mentor her. But you answered it very very well. Appreciate
thank
it. I come back to you.
Well, I got one last question for you, Kaylen. When the lights is off and the real world kick in, what's your career goals look like past basketball?
past basketball, I want to go to school for sports medicine. I want to be a pediatric physical therapist, because I spent almost a year and a half, 2 years of my life in that environment. And I really like what they do for other people. And I feel like with the injuries I went through, there's going to be another kid just like me that went through the same stuff. So I can be that mentor that they have. I can help them get through that step by step, like I had. The physical therapist that I had helped me get through my injuries. So that's just always something. I always wanted to work around kids. I've always been like a kid person. So, I just put those two together with the sports medicine and stuff that I'm actually interested in. So that's what I want to do when my basketball career is over.
Okay, okay. Well, Coach Dad, I appreciate y'all coming on, but I do
Yes,
got one
sir.
more question for you, pops. Before you
Yes, sir.
you said you did 17 years as a police officer. So
Yep.
I want to so we do two podcasts. We got this one called 910 Sports. We got another one called 95 South, where we
Hmm.
kind of do more. That's more where we interview different people from all walks of life. We deal with mental health. We deal with whatever. And we do everything from entertainers to relationships to everything. And I wanted to invite you on that platform because I want to get into that whole police work and, talk about, especially as us as black folks,
Yes, sir.
educating us, because I went to school for criminal justice. So
Well,
the one thing I tell folks when people say you went to school for criminal justice, oh, you trying to be a cop, and I say, well, first of all, it's a million doggone things you can do with criminal justice.
Justin,
And
yeah.
secondly, every black and brown person should take a criminal justice class so we can educate ourselves on the
Yes.
system. So when we do get locked up, we know what our actual options are or whatever. Because sometimes we can get ourselves out of situations, whether we right or wrong, that can benefit us, and at the same time, how to deal with police officers that you know um, may not be like patient enough to deal with you when they pull you over. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I want to invite you back on our other platform to be able to
So,
discuss that side of life.
yes, sir. You got me, man. Just let me know when, and I'll jump right on there and pour in some resources. Definitely.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I appreciate
Yes,
y'all
sir.
coming on tonight. I appreciate you bringing your daughter because a
Yes,
lot of
sir.
people are very protective over their kids. I understand. I got a girl, a little
Yep.
daughter myself, and
Yes,
I
sir.
got a granddaughter, so I understand how protective you can be about your kids. But
Yes,
I
sir.
will say this: I can tell you definitely groom your daughter for everything in life that comes at her, and I'm
Yes, sir.
very impressed. With me and Jacob are very impressed by the way she handled herself tonight because she
Yes, sir.
answered every single question without hesitation, and
Yes, sir.
and that's a rare when it comes to young people. But she did make me laugh when she said, "Yeah, sometimes young people, whatever." And I'm like, "Young people?" She act like she old. You know what I'm saying? So that made me
Yeah.
laugh when she said that. I was like, you know what I'm
And
saying?
so
But like I said,
as an old church man from the South said, that girl sharp. She real
Yeah,
sharp.
yeah. She is. We give her the foundation, and she knows. I can honestly say, as a dad, and her mom is listening to this as well. We are content and we are ready for her and assured that going into this next chapter of college, like she's gonna be fine. The other night she just scored her 1,000 point, so she just
oh wow,
accomplished that and got that done. So she's gonna make her announcement January 15th on where she'll be signing. So that's the next big step for her. But she's ready. She's a honor roll student. She's just a sweetheart. She makes the right decision. So I'm confident that she's ready for her next. Her mom is confident. We're just in awe by her. Like, I have no complaint. She's been a perfect daughter. Of course, she got the regular teenage stuff, the attitude stuff you deal with. But outside of that, she's a humble kid. It's so much more she can tell you all about her career and the things that she's doing that she doesn't even speak on, and that just speaks to her character and her humbleness about how humble she is about this game.
okay. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Let us know when she does make her decision so we can continue to follow her in her college
Yes, sir.
career. Because I know my partner loves women's college basketball.
Yes, sir.
So definitely let us know,
Will
where she
do.
goes so we can continue to follow her throughout her career and her journey. So I
Okay.
appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we'll get back with you very soon about the other podcast because
Okay.
we definitely been looking for somebody that can come on the show. That's in that because we never had a police officer on before. So
Uh-huh.
that'd be the first time we've done that. So that'll be history again. So you're
Yeah,
gonna be
I
have some
got you.
history twice with
I
us.
got you covered. I've done it all. I was a police chief 3 different times, so I can talk about it from the chief seat all the way down to the patrol seat. So I got you
Oh
covered.
Yeah.
wow. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely about to have you back
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
I know who this fella is.
Yeah.
Like I said, my brother worked for Lexington County Sheriff's Office, so
Oh,
I told him I was having him on, so I know who he is. So I
yeah.
know about the North and the Orangeburg County, and
Yeah.
if you work in
All right.
Orangeburg County, Orangeburg, South Carolina,
Yeah.
you yeah, you a
Okay.
real one.
Well, we're going to
You a
lock
real
that
one.
in ASAP, Jacob. Go on and
Yeah.
lock him in ASAP because we got to
Yes,
get him
sir.
back on ASAP then. You know what
I
I'm
do
saying?
that.
But y'all have a blessed and wonderful weekend and
Thank
talk
y'all.
to you next time.
Happy
Be well.
holidays, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Happy
You as
holidays to you
well.
too.
You as well.
All right.
Y'all be blessed.